So a little while back, I discovered Dr. Ellie. She's a dentist on YouTube with a big following, and she basically takes everything I know to be true about dentistry and turns it upside down on its head. Things like, you should use a medium bristled brush. Tongue scraping is not important. Flossing is not that important. You can reverse cavities. You can reverse gum recession. Basically, everything I know to be true about dentistry, just the opposite. And the main way she's advocating for all of this is with her complete mouth care system. It's basically a set of very specific dental products to be used in a very specific order to basically reset your oral microbiome and ultimately get rid of all of your dental issues for good. Now, my biggest concern with this system when I first discovered it was, number one, she's not a big proponent of flossing, which for me, that's a huge red flag right away. Plus, the products that she recommends are just everyday, regular products, and honestly filled with harsh chemicals, artificial flavors, preservatives, and colors and all this stuff. And I'm just not a fan, and I just couldn't see how all of these products together could, magically solve all of your dental problems. And lastly, as I mentioned, she has a massive following on YouTube, which for me means she either found truly the magic cure for all dental problems, or she's misleading a lot of people. So either way, I felt like I had to intervene, try this for myself. So I ended up getting all of her stuff, trying it for 2 weeks, tracking my results, and I made a video on it, and the comments exploded on that video. You guys can watch the video, I'll leave a link in the description below, but basically, spoiler alert, after 2 weeks, I checked my teeth with floss, and I found a bunch of plaque, and my gums were bleeding. And so I deemed this system, not viable, not a good thing to do, don't do it, don't believe Dr. Ellie is basically the conclusion I came to. Now, like I said, the comments exploded. Apparently I used the wrong ACT mouthwash. The one I used was the Total Care, which has 0.02% fluoride. And the one she recommends is the ACT Anti-Cavity, which has 0.05 fluoride concentration. And then a couple of other things I potentially did wrong, like I wasn't intentional about my mouth resting and incorporating a very specific amount of xylitol. Plus people mentioned, you didn't even show the bleeding, so how do we know you weren't lying? And things like, oh, you're just afraid to lose your job, you just want to shut her down. First of all, in terms of the bleeding, guys, I haven't seen my gums bleed for years, probably over a decade. So I was just truly in shock when I saw that. I completely forgot about cameras and recording and all of that. My bad on that. You can choose to believe or not believe me, but I definitely did have bleeding gums, but I do apologize for not recording that. And then in terms of I'm afraid to lose my job. First of all, I don't actually work clinically right now. My first job is I'm a stay-at-home mom with 2 little kids, and then I make these educational videos for you guys, which basically earn pennies on the dollar. I don't make much from this. So I literally have nothing to lose. But I do see what you're saying, I'm afraid to lose my career as a hygienist. Guys, fun fact, I actually hate going to the dentist, and I wish people didn't have to go to the dentist and get dental work. I totally get it. It's super expensive, it's painful, and it seems like the more dental work you get done, the more you need. It's just all a mess, and I wish we could avoid it. So I'm not afraid to lose my job. I'm just looking out for you, honestly, and I want to prevent dental issues, but I just want to make sure that you're not being misled with some, misinformation. And anyway, think about it, guys. If I were trying to just shut her down, I wouldn't even bother trying out her stuff, right? I would just say, guys, seriously, she's not recommending flossing. All she's doing is these mouthwashes and a toothpaste, random Crest yucky toothpaste. I would just talk about it and say, don't believe her. I actually went out of my way to try out all her stuff and monitored my results, and based on that came up with my conclusion. I mean, imagine for a second, as a hygienist, not flossing my teeth for 2 weeks, right? That's basically like telling you, not to wipe your butt for 2 weeks, assuming you poop, once a day on average. My point is, I did it for you with the best intentions. I'm not trying to sabotage anything. Really want to get down to the truth of things. So anyway, I took all of your guys' comments with a grain of salt. I actually contacted Dr. Ellie. I got her phone number. I mean, check it out. We had this super long conversation, talking after talking. We actually ended up setting up a couple of Zoom calls as well to discuss my results and everything. So my point is, I've talked to her. She actually sent me out her complete mouth care system with all the correct products. And I even did a salivary DNA test kit, which I feel like is a great other video to make. Lots of information there, but I got her kit. In summary, my saliva, all my bacteria levels are at a good baseline, even before starting the experiment. And even she said, like when I explained to her that I used the wrong Act mouthwash, she mentioned, you know, it's not actually that big of a deal. She's not sure why I saw bleeding. Maybe my microbiome hasn't had a chance to fully reset, especially since I only used it for 2 weeks. But anyway, all of that aside, I ended up redoing her system. And so here are my teeth before. As you can see, there's a bit of tartar kind of starting on the bottom front teeth there. I usually scrape all of that away on a regular basis, like with my fingernail, which is kind of gross, but that's a common spot for tartar buildup. But I left it there for the sake of this experiment to see if maybe it'll melt away with all of these mouthwashes. Which, by the way, if you guys want a more in-depth breakdown of her system, I do encourage you to watch my first video. I show you guys exactly all the products to use, minus the Act mouthwash. Make sure you get the right one. But I also show exactly how to use them, so check that out if you want to. But anyway, so that's the before picture, as well as my front teeth in general there. And then here's the after. And then again, the after shot of my front teeth as well there. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but I noticed a little bit more staining starting to accumulate, and the tartar is still there on the bottom front teeth. And then check out a quick video of me flossing after 2 weeks. Actually, it's a little bit more than 2 weeks. I was out on a camping trip, so please excuse my face. I just came back from camping, no makeup or anything, but check out this video, focus on my mouth. Here's me flossing, and you can see that I'm still pulling out quite a bit of plaque and some food chunks, but surprisingly no bleeding this time. Now, a couple more pros and cons that I noticed, but before I get into that, while I have you on the edge of your seat, if you guys want to up your oral health game but you're not quite sure where to start, check out my free Smile Reset guide, where I go over some of the most common reasons for gum issues, bad breath, and dull colored teeth, just to give you kind of a baseline and help you understand where you need to search for solutions. That'll be in the first link down below. Plus, I will send you guys some exclusive discounts to some of my favorite dental products, so don't miss out on that. Check out that first link. Anyway, back to my experiment/results the second time around. So the first thing I noticed, actually I noticed this the first time around as well, but because my results weren't great at the end, I didn't think much of it, but I'll mention it this time. One of the first things I noticed is that my breath felt fresh all day. Even in the mornings, with my morning breath, it wasn't as bad as it normally is. And for me, that's actually pretty big because it's kind of embarrassing to say, but I've always struggled with bad breath. I have sinus issues, postnasal drip, history of tonsil stones. It usually takes a lot of steps and processes for me to stay on top of my breath. But with her complete mouth care system, again, I noticed that all day my breath smelled fresh, and even in the mornings, my morning breath wasn't as bad. Now, I know what you might be thinking, like obviously you're using a bunch of mouthwashes, your breath is gonna smell fresh. I still feel like it has to do specifically with her complete mouth care system, because I've used mouthwash before to freshen my breath in a sense, but it ended up being like masking the bad breath. So you kind of smell the minty freshness and the bad breath at the same time, if that makes sense. Almost like if you were to spray perfume on a pile of poop. Suddenly it doesn't smell like poop anymore, it smells like poop and perfume, which is kind of weird. Also, I just realized I compared my breath to poop. Oh well. So my point is, my breath smelled fresh all day, and I attribute it specifically to her complete mouth care system. The other great thing I noticed is that my teeth felt slick all day. So sometimes, depending on what I eat, I will get like a fuzzy feeling on my teeth halfway through the day, just with the plaque starting to accumulate. But with her system, I noticed that all day long, no matter what I ate, my teeth felt slick and smooth. Now let me talk real quick about some of the cons. So number one, I kind of already mentioned it, but I started developing some staining on my teeth, which technically stain is a cosmetic thing. It doesn't harm your gums or your teeth per se, but considering the fact that I don't have any other dental issues, it was kind of a big deal for me. Like, I went from no staining to staining, and I was like, ugh, I don't want staining on my teeth. I did talk to Dr. Ellie about this, and she mentioned she has a remedy for that. You basically take her Crest toothpaste, mix it with some xylitol crystals, and scrub it on your teeth, basically to get rid of the dead plaque that's left over. I kind of disagree with her. I don't think it's, leftover dead plaque. I feel like it was just the ingredients of the mouthwash starting to stain my teeth, although technically staining only happens when you have plaque on your teeth. I don't know. The point is, I actually didn't end up doing what she recommended with the toothpaste and xylitol crystals. I just went back to my usual routine and dental products that I typically use, and the staining ended up going away. But the other con that I would mention is, again, I've mentioned this before, but the harsh chemicals and artificial colors and flavors and preservatives. Not a huge fan of that in those products. And then lastly, as you guys saw in the video, when I flossed between my teeth after about 2 weeks of doing her system the second time, I still got plaque in between my teeth, although no bleeding this time. So bottom line, after talking to Dr. Ellie, after redoing her system using the correct products, I can say at this point, I'm not afraid to point someone to her system, especially if they tried everything else and nothing seems to be working for them. I'm more comfortable with telling them about her system and recommending for them to try it. I do still have my reservations. For example, I don't think I can ever give up flossing. The only way I think I might give up flossing is if I were to continue her system and maybe taper off the flossing. And once I truly see that there's no more plaque accumulating between my teeth, then I would let go of the whole flossing aspect. But for now, I'm gonna keep preaching floss. I'm not gonna give it up myself. That's just how it's gonna be. So the question remains, am I gonna keep using the complete mouth care system? Well, I'm glad that I know of it, but currently I'm not using her system anymore. Honestly, once I ran out of the mouthwashes, I couldn't be bothered to buy them again. Plus I have a whole bunch of other dental products that I love and use normally, so I would actually have to use those up first before I, started with something else. So in short, no, I'm not using her system anymore. And then also think about it, guys. I'm 32 years old and I've managed to keep my gums and my teeth healthy without using her system. So I don't think it's the end all be all for everyone, but that is my 2 cents. So what's next in terms of the Dr. Ellie thing? I feel like it would be great to have an interview with her. I've actually technically interviewed her already, but it wasn't recorded. But it's very interesting how she came up with this system, her journey through all of this. So maybe it would be cool to kind of have a sit down and chat with her and kind of mesh the two together and expose more people to this new information. In the meantime, while we're waiting for this to potentially happen, I want to share with you guys an incredible opportunity. Well, I don't know if it's incredible, but if you guys want a one-on-one personalized coaching call with me, I've actually opened up my schedule for a limited time to just have a personalized one-on-one sit down with you guys and talk about your specific oral health concerns. So if that sounds interesting to you, check out the second link below to reserve your time slot. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next video. Take care of your teeth.